Hi, my name is Courtney Sykes, and this is my conflict resolution workshop. So, today I decided to aim my focus on college students. I feel that they have a lot of added stressors in their life, newfound stresses in their life that can lead to a lot of conflict. So, I think this workshop would be very beneficial towards them. So, why college students, you may ask? Well, college students are going through a huge new life changing event. It can be things like money, school, relationships, like with partners or with friends or with roommates. This is a time when conflict is extremely high. With these conflict management skills, however, these stressors or problems with relationships might slowly start to resolve. So, when you get into college, if you've been sheltered your whole life and all of a sudden you have to deal with making money so you can pay for rent and afford food, meanwhile, you also have to continue getting good grades in school, doing well at your job, maintaining family relationships, maintaining friendships, maintaining a girlfriend or a boyfriend. These are all added stressors. So, conflict management. It's a set of skills one may acquire to help them effectively deal with conflict. So, it is definitely an important skill to learn. It's defined as the communication behavior a person employs based on his or her analysis of a conflict. So, I propose these questions, which are: how do you handle conflict? How do you deal with it? And how do you resolve it, or do you avoid it? And what behavior do you employ? Normally, I would ask this question, but since because of today's circumstances, I will just be answering the question. So, how I handle conflict differs from people I know really well and from people I don't know as well. For example, like a roommate I don't know as well as my parents or my friends. So, when it comes to my parents or my friends, I tend to resolve the conflict. I just want to face it head on. I'm very vocal and I want to get this conflict resolved. Now, when it comes to roommates or people I don't know as well, I generally try to avoid it. I just don't want there to be any bad blood between us, and I don't want any more conflicts to occur, so I just avoid it. So, conflict resolution is our main goal for this whole workshop, is to resolve conflict. So, conflict resolution is the issue or conflict is resolved and is unlikely to happen again. So, we can use tools like the STLC system, which help us effectively manage our conflicts. So, step 1 would be stop. Step 2 would be think. Step 3, listen. And step 4, communicate. So, we first start with stop. Stop. So, first with stop, you want to exit the area. This is only temporary. It's just to calm yourself. It doesn't mean you're leaving for a long, extended period of time. It just means you're taking a cool second to just catch your breath and not escalate the conflict. Step 2 would be get a drink of water. I think this is a little funny, but it works. I mean, just to take a sip of water, several sips before responding, just to cool down your system, if you will. And then step 3 would be count backward from 100. This can really help calming you, keeping you focused on what you need to say, and not exploding in any certain way. Step 4 would be to change the topic. If it isn't worth arguing over, perhaps a new subject can clear the air a bit, making this conflict less hateful, perhaps. So, now we have think. As you can see here, first we must decide if we want to do nothing or change the situation. So if we decide to do something about the situation, we want to analyze our goals first. So the first goal that we have would be instrumental goals. So instrumental goals are defined as those that require an opponent to remove an obstacle blocking you from achieving that goal. So an example would be maybe wanting a professor to change a grade. That goal would be that active changing of the grade. The second would be relational goal, which involves attempts to gain power and establish trust. And an example of this might be your right to question the grade. Perhaps you feel that your work was of more quality than the grade that you got. The next is identity goals. This concerns how the individuals in the conflict view each other. The next is process goals, and this is alternative ways of managing conflict. So step 3 is listen, and in my opinion, this is the most important part, is to really listen to someone. So in order to listen, we must pay attention. So that means like making eye contact, showing that you're listening, being open to other views, suspending judgment, and being patient. This can really help make a person feel heard, especially if you're facing towards them, showing them that you're listening, eye contact, not talking over them, not judging them. This can help avoid defensiveness. Sometimes when we, point out somebody's flaw that they're really sensitive to, it tends to lead someone to be pretty defensive. So this leads to communicating in I statements. So have you ever had somebody say you always do something, or you never do something? Or have you had someone blame you for something that is not really your problem? An example of a you statement might be saying, like, you're too sarcastic. An I statement would take it like, I don't like sarcasm. You're taking the responsibility on yourself, and you're making a more personalized statement. So this also avoids defensiveness. So I statement would be I feel, I think, and instead of using those you statements, you're wrong, you said. Okay, so now we have the components of I statement. It goes the feeling statement, the problematic behavior statement, the consequences statement, and the goal statement. This is essentially an outline on how you should effectively communicate during a conflict. So, the first is the feeling statement, which is a description of the feeling. So, for example, I feel angry, I feel unhappy, I feel offended. The second is the problematic behavior statement. This is a description of what made you feel the way you feel. For example, somebody forgot your birthday, or they're not helping you do the dishes. The third would be a consequences statement, which is a description of what that bothersome behavior does to you or how it affects you. And lastly is the goal statement, which is a description for what you want exactly. It's important to note, however, to avoid using words like I demand, I require, or else. Don't use that or else. If you don't do this or else, it kind of leads to like resentment and not wanting to do that. I statements are really positive because it takes the guessing out of how somebody is thinking or feeling, and it may even result into you getting what you want and your goals being achieved. So now I have a clip of the breakup, the movie, and I'm going to raise my hand every time I hear an over-exaggerated statement or a you statement, and then at the end, I'm going to talk about how they could have avoided the situation or could have handled it better.
In the time of the Iron Age, the Celts are an
Sorry.
ancient tribal people fighting for their survival. Relive their glory and discover their rich culture. The Celts on Curiosity Stream.
I'm gonna go do the dishes.
Cool.
It'd be nice if you helped me.
No problem. A little bit later, I'm still.
of it.
Gary, come on. I don't want to do them later. Let's just go down. Take 15 minutes.
I am so exhausted. I just honestly want to relax for a little bit. If I could just sit here, let my food digest, just try to enjoy quiet for a little bit. Get some, get some, get some. That's what happens. And we will clean the dishes tomorrow.
Gary, you know I don't like waking up to a dirty kitchen.
Cheers.
I care, all right? I care. I busted my ass all day cleaning this house and then cooking that meal, and I worked today. It would be nice if you said thank you and helped me with the dishes.
Fine. I'll help you do the damn dishes.
Oh, come on. You know what? No, that's not what I want.
You just said that you want me to help you do the dishes.
I want you to want to do the dishes.
Why would I want to do dishes? Why?
See, that's my whole point.
Let me see if I'm following this. Are you telling me that you're upset because I don't have a strong desire to clean dishes?
No, I'm upset because you don't have a strong desire to offer to do the dishes.
I just did.
After I asked you.
Jesus, Brooke, you're acting crazy.
Don't you call me crazy. I am not crazy.
I didn't call you crazy. I didn't
Just
call
did.
you crazy. No, I didn't. I said you're acting crazy.
You know what, Gary? I asked you to do one thing today, one very simple thing, to bring me 12 lemons, and you brought me 3.
If I knew that it was going to be this much trouble, I would have brought home 24 lemons. Even 100 lemons. I know what I wish? I wish everyone that was at that goddamn table had their own little private bag of lemons.
Gary, it's not about the lemons.
Well, that's all you're talking about.
I'm just saying it'd be nice if you did things that I asked. It would be even nicer if you did things without me having to ask you.
I do seem to remember doing something for you this morning without you asking.
Gary, come on.
I'm
You know what?
serious.
No, I'm serious. I really am. Come on, you knew I was working today and I made that meal, and you could have thought to yourself, you know what, you could have said, I think I'm going to get Brooke some flowers.
You said on our very first date that you don't like flowers, that they're a waste of money.
Every girl likes flowers, Gary.
You say that you don't like flowers. I'm supposed to take that to mean that you do like flowers?
No, this is not about, you're not getting it. You're not getting this, Gary. Okay, it's not about the lemons, it's not about the flowers, it's not about the dishes. It's just about, how many times do I have to drop hints about the ballet?
You know I can't stand. Brooke, come here. Be talking.
All right, so as you can see, there was a lot of you statements and there was a lot of over-exaggeration. I have some examples here, like you're acting crazy, or you said that you're always upset. That's all you talk about. We don't go anywhere. So these are statements that can really ruin a relationship. Instead of putting the blame on yourself, you're putting it on somebody else, or not the blame, but more the goal and what you want to achieve. So this would lead me to using I statements. So this would normally be an exercise that I would have people do, but since it's just me, I'm going to give examples of the scenarios I've listed. So the first one being, your best friend is constantly using your car and never fills it up with gas. So an example could be, I feel angry when I have to put gas in my car after you use it because I end up having to pay for gas I didn't use. I would like it if you could fill up my car after you use it. So there's the perfect little template of how I feel angry because I would like it if you could, that's the template. So now for the next one, your friend is always talking about how much fun they had over the weekend when you have work on weekends. So an example of this would be, I feel left out when I'm excluded from a conversation about a party I missed because I could lose my job if I skip work. Can we talk about something else? All right, another example, your roommate borrows your things without asking. An example could be, I feel frustrated when you take my things because I can't find what to wear of my own clothes. I'd prefer it if you'd ask first before borrowing my things. And then lastly would be in a group presentation, one member is weaker than all the others. This could be a collaborative statement, but we feel upset when you don't do your share because we all have to pick up the slack. We would like it if you could contribute. All right, so After you use I statements, we want to come to a resolution. So we're going to talk about compromising. Compromising is people who are in a conflict situation and are interested in finding a solution that is workable rather than an optimal solution. So an example would be like splitting chores, alternating holidays with family, taking turns watching your favorite TV shows. This can be a compromise. Now, the next thing we have is collaboration. So this isn't compromising, this is emphasizing your own interest and goals without disrespecting the other's interest and goals. This means like the partners have the exact same goal. And it's a win-win outcome instead of the last one, which was a give-receive or give and take kind of thing. So collaboration has two essential parts. It consists of integrative behaviors such as cooperation, collective action, and mutual assistance. It is the second one we have to think and keep in mind is partners have the same goal, the same exact goal. So there's two things that need to happen there. It is important to note, however, that collaboration is the preferred approach. Collaboration can lead toward less of the long-term relationship stress and more of growth in that relationship, maybe waking at work. So here is a real-world application. This is, let's say you just get in a conflict with your boyfriend or girlfriend. How would you handle the situation? So there's several steps to this. These are just easy things to remember, so I'm going to read them off. Step 1 would be to be direct. Step 2 would be use I statements. I feel, I think. Step 2, do not use statements like always or never. That does not work because it's kind of untrue. They probably sometimes do these things. You can't say they never do. Step 4 would be think about why you are angry. Does there need to be a conflict? Step 5 would be to listen, understand, and to be very open to their perspective. We need to understand this person in order to resolve the conflict. It's not all about us. Step 6 would be to stay calm, and then always remember if it gets super overwhelming, you can always leave for a second. You can stop and take a time out and go get a glass of water. Take a step back. Okay, it's important to remember that conflict is completely natural. Most of the time, conflict has a negative connotation attached to it, when in reality, conflict is just a natural way of life. It's how we communicate. Of course, there is going to be conflict when there's two people with two different opinions and two different views and two different cultures or whatever. There's going to be conflict. Hopefully, with these tools, you'll be able to handle conflict in a more constructive way. So now I have a little recap. So what does STLC stands for? That stands for stop, think, listen, and communicate. What are some examples of an I statement? Remember, I feel, I think, and using that template of I feel angry because I end up doing blah, 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 and then a solution. I would like it if you could. What is the difference between compromising and collaborating? Compromising is more of a give and take, and collaborating is a win-win situation. What steps can you take to keep yourself calm and rational in a conflict situation? We talked about so many things. We talked about the STLC system. We talked about just stop in general, like getting a glass of water, counting backwards from 100, being rational. Stop, think, listen, take a breather, drink some water. All right, thank you guys so much. I hope you've been following the handout and can answer some of the questions that were proposed. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.